As part of getting to know me better, I am expressing the health issues that I have had in the past and what led me to herbal medicine and holistic healing. And so today's no different. I wanted to explain a situation that I had when I was about 9 years old. I started developing, and I was developing in a way that made my mom uncomfortable because it was the 80s and I was about 9 or 10, and that was pretty early to start getting boobs. So I was shuttled off to the doctor, and what was so lucky, or what was a blessing in disguise, was that day there was a female physician that took the place of the town doctor. And I just was fascinated by that. Number one, I really didn't have any exposure to that type of situation where somebody was a woman and in a position of power. So that was really cool. But what was so fortuitous, or divine timing, if you want to call it that, was that she also had a 9 or 10-year-old little girl. And from her own life experiences, she was watching her child develop early, and she did some research on that. And so what she pointed out were 3 really critical things: that girls in the 80s were developing faster and younger than girls from the 60s. And that is still true today. So girls right now are developing, and boys, but adolescence is coming on a little bit younger than they would have come on in the 80s even. And so that was the first thing. Development was happening in a faster rate at younger ages. The second piece was that you can pause puberty. You can influence your hormones. Now, I'm using that terminology, pausing your puberty, but she was saying you can influence your hormones by using a different diet. Now, this was really novel. And so she had suggested to get off store-bought chicken, particularly chicken, because that was where the hormones were being put into the meats, and all grocery store meats really, but particularly chicken. And then the third thing that she pointed out is that it was really important for children and probably everyone to go to bed at a reasonable time and get sleep. So she had recommended turning off TVs, having a quiet time, and this put your body into rest. And I believe this is so critical, even more so today, because of all the inputs that we have. We have fluorescent lights and phones and electronics and social media and everything. And our body really needs that downtime, that restful way, so that we're not always producing chemicals, producing hormones, growing, shifting, having stress. So this is what I love about what I do, and why I love seeing patterns. This is fascinating stuff. Not only that, not only is it fascinating, it's known. It was known in the 80s. It's known now. It remains true. And we have to really go back to what it is we know. We know we need rest. We know our diet can influence our chemistry. We know that pausing our hormones is possible. We might not know how or the easiest way to do it, but it is possible. So this happens all the time in tons of ways. And when we have awareness, that will help you identify your patterns and identify what works for you. Now, my female clients know this very well. So do my male clients, because I do work with men and their hormones. But it's a bit more complicated for females in that area. And so that's where I'll focus today. Not to say that the herbs that I'm going to talk about won't also be effective for men, but we just want to daylight those hormones of women. So my female clients know this, and who are experiencing unpredictable emotions, shifts in their menstrual cycle, have found relief through herbal medicine, herbal remedies, holistic options. And they are specific for each client. And so I'm going to be careful here because I can't really give recommendations for you as an individual because hormones are so specific and your circumstances are specific. That's why the key is always customization. So if you're not getting a customized recommendation, you're not getting great service, and you need to do some research, find someone who can really drill into the specifics of your body and of your health and of your patterns. But that doesn't mean that I can't give you some wonderful herbal tips and some ways in which you can identify your patterns so that you can speak to the right practitioner. So I want you to set aside 10 minutes every day. And in those 10 minutes, I want you to turn off the phone, turn off the music, turn off the lights, the TV, everything that has noise or that can shine a light into your face. Unless it's the sunlight, I want it all off. And from there, you start to bring awareness to your body. Start to acknowledge what your body is feeling. And is there an ache? Is there a pain? Is there tension? Are you gripping your hands? You can even do this right now. What's happening with your low back? Is it tweaked? Is one of your feet falling asleep? Is there tension in the back of your throat? Do you need to stretch? Whatever it is, I want you to bring awareness. This is called a scan. So basically, you just notice how your hair feels, the top of your head, and you go and you just make a mental note, being aware. And as you do this, you breathe. The second thing that you do, well, this would be the third. If everything is turning off, the second is to bring awareness. The third piece is notice. What did you crave today? Just ask yourself, what did I crave today? Was it sweet? Was it salty? Was it smooth? Did I want ice? Was it crunchy? A bag of chips? What did I crave? Make a note. The fourth thing that I want you to really identify is what you felt today. How did you feel? Did you feel pleasant, comfortable, apathetic, down, dull, empty, joyful, excited, full of energy? I want that to be a critical piece that you pay attention to. And then lastly, rank your energy level from 1 to 5. 5 being like, I felt great. 1 being like, oh, I just couldn't get out of bed. I snoozed 7 times. I never could find my groove. I just felt tired. That's a 1. 5, I felt great. I bounced out and I feel like I could keep going. And this is the thing, these 10 minutes where you make a mental note in a notebook, on a calendar, in your phone, whatever the case may be, it creates a pattern. It creates a pattern for you to trigger your body, to influence your chemicals, which are all hormones, to trigger that moment that you can relax. And then after a week, 2 weeks, even 3 weeks, you can see a pattern, right? Maybe you see the pattern that you're flying off the handle when someone drops a spoon when it's closer to the end of your cycle, or when you have a deadline at work, or when your children are acting up, but you see the pattern. That is a whisper. The whisper of your bodies create patterns. And if you're not paying attention to the patterns that the whispers are sending you, then they become screams. So maybe you notice that you're feeling overwhelmed, when you have to rewrite an email at work, when you have to go backwards instead of plugging forward for some reason. Maybe you have cravings that you didn't realize you had. One of my clients, I ask, so what are you craving? She's like, well, anything really, anything that really I can get my hands on, I just crave what's convenient. And I was like, okay. And then she started telling me, right? She started telling me what these cravings were, and they were all salt. And then that's a clue that your adrenals need support. So this is where we go. Another woman was craving, those crunchy peas, like not the wasabi ones, but things that are crunchy. Peas and pretzels. Yes, there's a salt component, but we recognize that it wasn't about the salt. She was frustrated and she was angry, and it was around her cycle when this would happen. And so she would be chewing on ice. So that's another pattern. Maybe you are so physically strong when it's the end of your period. Maybe you realize, you know what? I go for that strength training class those days. I feel great. I do a double exercise workout on those days. That is a pattern. This is all a way of decoding whatever it is that's going on in your body and your mind. And once you're able to find that pattern, you can really influence those hormones. And don't forget, I just spoke about digestive. Keep your digestive system flowing, because that is so critical and so key to keeping those hot flashes and the flushing away from your body. Through all my years, what I've seen is when the constipation is stronger or more often, the hot flushing is more often as well, because there's nowhere for those hormones to go. They have to keep circulating. So keep up with the magnesium, keep up with the phenol, keep up with the fiber and the water so that your digestive tract is on the regular. Okay, so now let's give you some quick wins and some sneak peeks for herbs that influence hormones. Raspberry leaf tea in particular. The leaves are so good. You can find this tea in any grocery store, just about any pharmacy. It's in, with the tea bags, and it's high in vitamin C and iron citrate in particular. And this is a blood builder. So it really helps for women in particular. It cleanses mucus from the body, so it's good for diarrhea, and it is a great eye wash. So if your eyes are dry or irritated, you make a pot of tea and you put a cloth in there, cool it down, put a cloth in there, and just put that on your eyes, and it'll help with mucus and dry eyes. It goes both ways. Another herb that I love is called cramp bark or high bush cranberry. The berries are great in vitamin C, and they're also high in vitamin K. I know a lot of people are taking vitamin D as a supplement, and they have it vitamin D plus K. You don't really need the K necessarily, because you can get it in other areas. High bush cranberry is one of them. And what you do for the hormonal piece and to try to calm down the cramping during menstruation is the inner bark of the cramp bark. So that's where the chemicals for calming down the spasms during cramping during menstruation takes place. It relaxes the uterus, and it calms down excessive ovarian action. And, I had a teacher say one time that you should start taking the cramp bark before the cramps happen. Some people don't know when their cramps are coming on, but If you do, fantastic, put that in your tea. You can add it with ginger or blessed thistle or any kind of combination, and you can have that as a way to calm down the spasms. And then the last two herbs that I want to talk about are essential oils. And I love using essential oils when we talk about chemistry and hormones because they're fast acting and you don't have to make a tea and go into all of that, because when we're uncomfortable, when our emotions are kind of leading because of our hormone shifts, or we're having a hot flush, then we don't really want to mess with that stuff. So essential oils are great. So two that I love is, the first one is ylang ylang. So if you have come to any of my workshops or master classes, when I talk about libido and sex and all those great things, I often bring up ylang ylang. It's an essential oil. It's great for skin conditions. It's also really good for insect bites. It's relaxing and calming, and that is the main purpose. It enhances sexual energy. And in the Middle East, they used to, I don't really know if they do this now, but they would put ylang ylang flowers on the beds of newlyweds because it created relaxation, and it was the energy of playfulness and joy instead of sadness. And what's cool about this flower is originally it had no scent, so they cultivated it for the scent, and that's how and why we have ylang ylang. The second herb that I use essential oils wise is clary sage, and some people don't love the smell of it. I get it. It smells like a herb, but it is so amazing for hormonal imbalances. In the Middle Ages, it was nicknamed clear eyes. So it was used to help with your eyes and vision, not in an essential oil type of way, but in another form. And it was also used for female complaints. So those Middle Ages, they knew what they were doing in some ways. So that essential oil is fantastic for PMS, mood swings, postpartum, emotional stress, estrogen balancing. It's great for impotence in men. That's one of those things where who knew? And also the energy of clary sage is really just calming. So what I recommend is you put a drop or two on the bottoms of your feet, whereas with the ylang ylang, it kind of smells perfumey and it's nice, and you might want to put it in your, perfume places. But clary sage, you put on the bottoms of your feet, maybe put a pair of socks on, or if you're having a shower or a bath, put it on your bath mat, and so it fills the air. There are so many more herbs I could talk about that influence your hormones, that really can put a pause in whatever the condition that is going on. And I love them. I could talk about herbs every moment of every day forever, and I love thinking about them. But the truth is, we could go down this road and you would feel just as frustrated if you weren't really paying attention and having awareness to your patterns and matching the correct herbal blend for you. So if you are ready to make a change, to investigate, to feel calm and in control of your emotions and hormones, let's set up a free conversation where we will explore your hormonal experience and start you on a journey of optimal health and energy. And as always, let me know what you're struggling with, and I will highlight some herbs that can help you with those root issues. Until our next herbal rendezvous, stay in luxury and holistic healing.